Hello, everybody. I'm very happy today that I'm joined with Dr. Zina Cinker. She's a director general of a task force. It's a very interesting task force, AMPT, Advanced Materials Pandemic Task Force. I believe that as a scientist, we should always combine our goals to transcend. On the website, there's a saying or there is a line that transcending cultures, politics, knowledge, everything towards one goal. And I think that resonates with me, and I think it should resonate with all the scientists as well. Thank you, Zina, for taking out time and being at Behta Pani.
Absolutely, Rahim. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Let's start with the task force. I've read on your website, but like I would like to hear from you, like why or how do you think that is it important, in especially in today's world, that we form this kind of a task force?
That's a good question, right? Okay, how do we start this and why did we start it? So I am by training, I'm a graphene scientist. I've done nothing but graphene. I ran the Graphene Association for the United States, North America for 3 years. And earlier this year, I wanted to do something different, something more on a global scale and something that transcends perhaps just graphene and dives a little bit deeper into all the other advanced materials. So we started a company, a consulting company with a couple of partners, and then COVID hits, right? COVID hits and things are different. Actually, we became much busier because we started seeing that a lot of the companies and a lot of individuals were coming to us needing help for the direction going forward regarding the product, for example, that they were making in the sector for PPE, for masks, et cetera, putting graphene in these applications or having access to live virus. And this was around perhaps early March, and things were really bad and things were really chaotic in the world. So people would be coming to us and saying, what is the status of knowledge right now? And there was no base of knowledge. There was no library of knowledge at that time. People, if you are publishing, we were panicking, we're redoing each other's work. And then we realized that there was really no central library of knowledge. We didn't know who was doing what and where and what they knew. We realized that some universities in the world, they had access to live virus, they were doing their work, and we would go to them and they say, what is the findings? How is COVID reacting to graphene or graphene oxide? They were saying, well, whenever we publish, you will know it. I mean, that was the first trigger for us. I mean, right now, if you share your results and not go down the path of, okay, well, you will know it when it is published, we will be able to make better products that change our world. At the same time, we saw that there was a lot of interaction in my space of graphene, trying to put graphene in masks. And one time we stepped back and said, how many people are trying to put graphene in masks? And we did a quick survey. And in early March, about 70% of the graphene community, one way or another, was trying to put graphene in masks.
Whoa.
Which is a waste of effort and energy and resources. But why are they doing that? Because we didn't know who is doing what, and people were trying to respond to something. And at the same time, when we went to nurses and doctors and we asked them, do you need better masks? They said, we don't need better masks. We need masks, in period. That's what we don't have right now. If you want to change something, if you want to make something better, our goggles are fogging. We can't do anything about that.
That's true. That's true.
And then we thought, okay, wait. There is this lack of coordination. There's this lack of strategy. We don't know where the needs are. We don't have a library of knowledge. We also do not have a network that can respond to something like this quickly and effectively, and for the advanced material community to be prepared to be able to respond in this manner. So we started the Pandemic Task Force, which has now grown to be the Advanced Material Pandemic and Future Preparedness Task Force. About 4 or 5 months ago, and it is a completely volunteer-run organization. And the goal was for this to transcend national agendas, disciplines, benefits, and for all of us with integrity to come together and develop a roadmap of how advanced materials can help solve some of humanity's most immediate challenges. And I'm happy to report that after 4 or 5 months, we have 15 country chapters. Wow. We have 10 working groups, and we have over 30 to 40 different institutions that are working together, individuals that are working together to develop this kind of infrastructure and network around what we can do with advanced materials to solve humanity challenges.
That's amazing. I mean, just a short amount of time, that's, I would call it a success story, I believe. Let me
I would
ask you,
call
like,
it that. Yeah.
yeah. Let me ask you, like, what are the offerings right now? Because I've seen podcasts and courses tabs and on the website. What are the offerings right now?
So the task force right now is we are focusing on two different size and verticals. One is that we are a matchmaking platform and a facilitation and cluster mobilization platform, which is you are a company, for
Mhm,
example, needing an academic partner. And at the
mhm,
same time, for us to create a cluster, our goal is to make sure that if you've got an idea, if
mhm,
you've got a research, that
mhm.
effectively and very, very quickly that product makes it to the market and that can change somebody's life. That is our goal. So what
Nice.
we can do around that is, okay, great idea, great partners. What else do they need? Do they need regulatory help?
Mhm,
Let's work with some other partners to come together and say, this thing needs to be mass produced or having problem with EPA,
mhm,
they're having problem with FDA. Let's bring some people here to help. Do they need funding? Okay, let's go and find out where in the world we can find funding for
nice.
support of this. It is really a matchmaking platform for us to get to the goal of you got a good idea, it needs to make it to the
Nice.
right people quickly. And
Nice.
for that, we have right now our application is open to anybody. It
Mhm,
is free at the moment for our matchmaking platform. Everybody, I encourage them, if you have something and you want to be able to find resources for it, sign up and go and fill out the application. And we do review those applications, meaning that it would take a while. And if your application is relevant, you'll be accepted and you'll be welcome to the task force. At the same time, besides being a matchmaking platform and facilitation platform on an international scale, we're also an education, intelligence, and information platform.
mhm,
So the podcast that we have is a part of our Knowledge Hub. Our Knowledge Hub on the website, we have articles from experts, and those are free resources. But at the same time, we're also creating through our different working groups. We have a working group called Library of Knowledge, which is
mhm.
diving deep into hundreds and hundreds of papers that are out there right now relating
Wow.
to COVID and advanced materials. And they're creating these state-of-the-art reports on separate subjects that are going to come
Wow.
out as reports. And we have a working group which is called the Applied Public Health and Environmental Health and Safety.
Mhm,
That working group is really hard at work. They have a few different products that is going to be coming out, which is extremely important for people who are trying to navigate the commercialization of their product. It's just a regulatory matrix, which is an
mhm,
opportunity matrix, which allows them to be able to see what are the requirements, how do they
mhm.
navigate that. And besides that, we also have these strategic reports and state-of-the-art reports that are coming out, which tells you where is the industry and future of consumer behavior moving. So advanced material
That's
community can
amazing.
look at where is the event industry going? Are they going towards
Mhm,
more sensors? Okay, that means opportunity. How can you
mhm,
go? We need to have that kind of bird's eye vision and knowledge
mhm.
of where's the industry, where's the consumer going, so advanced material community can
Right.
add something that is
Right.
needed.
Right.
And I want to add something else, which is we brought up courses. We're going to be launching these navigator courses, which are online training courses. These are not
Mhm.
webinars. These are truly online learning classes for an hour and a half time period, which allows you to, for example, you want to take a navigator course in terms of knowing graphene for startups. You will learn
Hmm.
everything from your instructor, what is going to be there. There's going to be reading material, there's going to be videos. It is very close to what we see in Coursera, for example, and LinkedIn
Nice.
Learning. So that is another offering that we are going
That
to
will be
have.
specialized for scientists or like people who are developing a product. Will be
Most not for
specialized.
scientists necessarily, but for scientists who are trying to take their applications or research to the next step.
Next level.
Meaning
Yeah.
the science, it's mostly for executives and also
Mhm.
for startups and companies who want to evaluate an
Mhm.
advanced
Yeah.
material. But for the scientist side, we are going to have, for example, navigating a patent landscape in the COVID time, things like that that would enable
Mhm.
you to have a startup spin
That's
off.
amazing.
I am
That's
happy.
amazing. I'm so happy to actually see all these efforts, because I think it's very important what we do in our lab should see the light of commercialization at some point, because that's the main goal of helping humanity at the end of the day. So I believe that these efforts are quite amazing. Let me come to my last point, which is what's next? How do you see this task force in future? Is it becoming a let's say a social media platform or a Google search engine platform where people can search academic platforms, or if I'm working on something, I go and post there or something like that? How do you see its future?
Good question. Not a social media platform. We are truly building an infrastructure and engine to be able for the advanced material community on an international scale to respond to something quickly and effectively. So in that sense, we are going to have a platform, an education and knowledge platform that would enable us to be able to be present on social media, etc. But that's only on the surface. Here, we do want the ability, the infrastructure, and the ability to give us the power to respond when a need arises.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires a lot of different components. That requires a component of coordination activities,
Mm-hmm.
which comes with a lot of these deep and synergistic partnerships. For example, we have these 15 different countries and regional chapters. Some of these chapters that are more active than others, they're actually creating a legal entity around themselves where they can go after funding for their own chapter from their own regional institutes or regional resources. And they would be able to kind of look at what is our focus in this chapter, meaning, for example, maybe in let's take as Italy. Maybe the Italy chapter is more focused on the commercialization side of, I don't know, pesticide, biocides, or something like that. How can they go after European Commission funding to enable the people, the members around that task force regional chapter to be able to do their work and to be able to be supported? And with that, we have a headquarter and we have all these different silos that are connected to the strategy and vision. So what we see going in the future is an independent, unbiased, mission-focused body and entity, which when there is a need, let's say there is a problem, when we respond to a challenge like a global challenge, like closing the loop on carbon waste, for example, how can it enable us to come together from different entities, from different disciplines, from industry, academia, all of us who wear the name of advanced material, come together and say, let's really define what are the criteria, what are the points, what is the roadmap, what is the strategic direction we're going to go to? Okay, now that we have a strategy and vision going forward, let us work through our own channels of communication and try to coordinate our activities so we do not redo each other's work, so that we do not do this work in silos and we do them in combination. I call them one entity responding. The advanced material community responding to a need with integrity and with a mission.
That's amazing.
That's the goal.
That's quite brilliant, actually, and I wish you all the success with this. And I will join as well. I'm quite inspired by this, and I think in the end, I always say to my audience that be happy and enjoy the surprises of life. And any last thoughts before we end the video, Zina?
I would like to actually connect it to what you just said, which is enjoy life, and there are opportunities out there. And COVID, I do believe that COVID, the silver lining in COVID and this pandemic was that it brought us to the point of seeing that there's something broken. There's something broken in our response. And it is going to enable us to actually put together new systems in place. And this is an example of a system that is going to be in place. And years from now, we might be looking at it and saying, well, how was this enabled? By something that brought that to our attention. So opportunity and silver lining in everything.
That's true. So with this, we'll end the video. Thank you, Zina, for taking out time and being at Behta, Pani.
Absolutely, the same here. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you.